Welcome back to our St. Louis Blues rebuild in Franchise Hockey Manager 11. After finishing runner-up last season, and despite a rough regular season, we did pretty well. We ended up finishing the season as runner-ups. We'll take a closer look at how well we ended up doing in that, but we did have a pretty good season last season. We only got 43 wins though, 31 losses and 8 overtime losses. But it feels though this team needed to kind of take a different turn with everything. We did have a decent amount of players that were looking at extensions, and ultimately we decided to go a little bit of a different way. We decided to kind of trim the fat just a little bit, and we're going to take a closer look at some of the decisions that we made throughout this save and whether or not they were the right decisions overall. But we did trade away Lafreniere for a second-round pick in 2031, so we're not even going to be able to see it next season. We traded away with Pittsburgh Penguins, who weren't that great this season. One of the big changes that we did do was Thomas. We ended up getting rid of him. We gave up the rights to Rapikin and a third-round pick this year and a third-round pick next year for 2 first-rounders from the Rangers. We ended up getting Meager with that pick, who just at the surface of looking at it looks pretty good. I mean, he is... he's pretty much 20s all around the board, which is always something that you want to see, like or 20s or high teens, which is great. He can play anywhere except for enforcer. He could be an agitator, but obviously we're not going to really invest too much into that. He does play center, which we'll need him for the future, and he graded around an 89 last season. Just looking at him, I mean, he was projected to go 37th, but obviously we took him at 14. He looked a lot better than that. I'm surprised that he ended up slipping that long. Just his defensive rating and physicals, just off that, I would have drafted him regardless. I would have drafted him probably at any position. I feel as though his potential is not really being registered properly. He is only 18 as well. Obviously, his mental ratings will improve as well, and I feel as though just his offense is going to be pretty insane. But he graded an 89, and I think that next season will probably be a huge decision with that. But we got Meager with the first round pick. We then ended up trading away Janicic as well, who was wanting an extension of around $6.5 million for someone who, I mean, we're not really quite sold on. He only grades around 61, and he used to be around a 65 as well, but we have so many other players that can play that position. I feel as though we had to make a trade. He's still not at his potential at 24, and I feel as though we need someone that's at their potential at the moment. So we got rid of him for 2 first-round picks, one this year and one next year. One in 2030. I don't know who we ended up getting for that. We'll have to look at it later because it didn't show. So the fact that it didn't show kind of seems a little bit odd. But yeah, no, we have a 2031 pick. We'll look at our depth chart as well after. And we end up getting rid of Ethan Gauthier for a 2031 fifth round pick, which isn't really that much, but he's not going to play for us anyways. And just another person off the books is always pretty good. But we'll look at the depth chart. We do have Boston Rangers in our first round pick. I mean, I don't think it's going to really amount to anything, but you never really know anyways. And I mean, you might as well take a chance. Rangers weren't that good last season. They might not be good this season. And Boston, I mean, who really knows? We'd have to take a little bit of a deeper dive with that as well. But even the Penguins pick is probably going to feel closer to first rounder as well. I know we're not supposed to stockpile picks, but we just didn't really have anywhere for them to go. They weren't necessarily the best player on our team, and we were forced to make decisions with that. Martoni now the best right winger, and Gunler had a great season as well. So just getting rid of Lafreniere to give him the opportunity, and even Olsen and even Romani, or even another player like Coach, who we end up extending as well. But we have some players that are going to be coming through the woodwork, and even like someone like Jonah, who we might want to put on the wing, and Fyodorov as well. Stenberg, I think, can play. He can play left wing, but I think we might want to switch him to right wing as well. But we do have a decent amount of players that can kind of move on to the right wing, and even giving opportunity to Max Penkin, who's 21, and even getting Spanberg. Spanberg, I decided to sign this year. I mean, I'm gonna go full in on this one. He already looks like he could play in the NHL. Just looking at his stats, his physicals are pretty good as well. So he shouldn't be bogged down with injuries, I don't imagine. His determination is pretty good too, but he's 19. I feel as though this is the better opportunity than have him kind of wait. I think he can probably play third line minutes most likely. I think Artemonov we could even see ourselves parting ways with if we have to. And Jake Neighbors is also one of those guys that his contract's coming up, and I don't know if we really want to pay top dollar for him. He wants around 6.5. But looking at our finances, yeah, we have I'd say around 6 million this year, and then we have around 10 million next year probably. And yeah, Neighbors the only one that really needs to extend on that. We did extend everyone else. Wall is not going to be playing for us next season. We did get Ewan Huey, who was actually Cristobal Huey's son. I don't think Cristobal Huey had that great of a career though. I do remember him a little bit more fondly because of the NHL games that I used to play. Yeah, he didn't really play that much, but it isn't to say that his son can't play a little bit better than him. But we'll take a closer look at some of the other transactions that we did. We did sign some players. I'm sure you end up seeing it on there, but we'll end up taking kind of a quicker look on some of them. Yeah, we ended up signing a Forster, Huey, Coach, and then Spanberg from both these players used to play for us or play for us as well. Forster, I mean, I didn't really keep him on Philly, but I feel as though he is probably primed for a similar performance as what we were getting before, but for a lot less money. The fact that we're only paying him $5 million is huge for us. We would have had to have paid Thomas a little bit more than that, but it does free up a decent amount of money for us to be able to kind of play around over the next next couple of years for sure. Because yeah, Thomas either we were going to extend, but he wanted around $7.5 million, which I didn't think he was worth it. I think Bolduc is a little bit more worth it. And then even someone like Dvorsky, who's getting around 6.5 already as well. No one really making top dollar as of now, but we have a bunch of people kind of making mediocre money. Even someone like Noel Gunler, who we might end up extending after his contract, but definitely Neighbors is one of those guys that we're kind of figuring it out. Obviously, left wing right now is owned by Misa, and Misa's only making $3.5 million, which is crazy. And then defense, it's going to be a little bit more of an increase next year with Dupont making not as much as probably what he's worth, but a pretty decent amount anyways. And then Villeneuve ended up extending as well. He's only around 3-star potential, which I find as kind of a robbery as well. Palika also not as potential yet, but around 4 million. Christopher around 1.5, and even Plamondon we might end up having to part ways with. We did extend Vernhoff, who is going to be making around 4 million next year, so that's where you kind of see a little bit of a jump. And then obviously goalies. We're going to have to ride with Augustin. Augustin's going to get an extension next year. That'll probably be a big chunk of change for sure over the next couple of years. But there's a huge dip, around 27 million there in terms of forwards. So we can kind of pick and choose who we want to extend, who we don't want to. Someone like Romani might not make the cut, and even like someone like Artemonov, around 2.5. We can probably get something decent for him anyways. For that kind of money, but we'll take a closer look at some of the other ones. I think a lot of these guys will go as well. We're not going to extend Peru. Ricard, he's good for the AHL, but he's not good enough for the NHL, I would say. He did get 4 points last season in 9 games, though, so we'll kind of have to monitor him throughout the season. Someone like Snuggerud definitely won't be playing with us next season. And then, I mean, we still have Zaheski and Witherspoon there as well. So nothing too crazy, but we'll take a look at the history of this team and how well we did. Yeah, it does suck that Thomas did get let go before he could end up claiming one of the top spots, but I don't think he was going to get it anyways. But I know it seems kind of wrong parting ways with your captain, but it's not much that we can really say for that. But after a couple seasons of rebuilding, we did finally make the playoffs in 2027, 2028. And then 2028, 2029, we made it as well. And then we made the finals in the 29-30. So 3 straight playoff performances. It's pretty decent. We did see our increase in average attendance as well as this team started to get better. Yeah, we had first season really where we had around decent amount, and then we obviously dropped down around 2,000. But we're not really interested in that. We're interested in the draft. So once we end up getting into one of these, we'll be able to kind of bring it full circle here. We'll actually start in 2021, where Bulldog he's around 333 in 510 games, but he's the only one that is really playing for us at the moment. I don't think we really have anyone pre that. To take a look. Neighbors. Oh, Neighbors is actually the other one. Only 340 in around 600 games is not ideal, but we'll end up jumping from that and kind of monitor it a little bit more. I think we went to 2022 is what we need. Yeah, Snuggerud, not going to play for us, but obviously he was picked before we took over. And Buchinger, I don't remember him playing, and then Godet, I don't think we have on this team anyways. 2023, 2024. This is still live. It wasn't us that ended up doing it, but someone like Pekarsic ended up playing around 187 or 86 games with 103 points. That's actually pretty good. So if he's in the AHL, we're going to definitely move him up. None of these other players end up doing anything. Stankel with around 11 points, or 11 games, one goal, and that's all sure. I think that's actually probably in real life that he ended up playing, because I don't remember him playing that much for us. Lindstein, who's not good enough to probably play for us, he was a first rounder as well. Jesus, so he's probably going to be end up cut away this season. And then Stenberg, who we end up trading. Yeah, we end up trading for the rights for Augustin, so he kind of lives on through that trade for sure, but he's played around 179 games and 71 points. I'm kind of glad we got rid of him. Dalibor Dvorsky, still playing with us though. 208 points in 379 games. That's not bad at all. So that all NHL though. It is, yeah. So it's all NHL. He is an assistant. He might even be captain after this, but how old is he now? He is around 25. So 25 putting up those numbers is not bad at all. And now here's where we end up starting. After this draft is when we finally took over. But Janicic was 16th overall, 124. We did just get rid of him. Colin Ralph never really played for us that much. Lucas Fisher also probably with our team now, but we might get rid of him as well. We did have Jekko, but I think we got rid of him. Jekko had a decent season last season with Calgary, so maybe we made a terrible trade there. And it kind of looks like we did. We did get rid of him this season for a third-round pick, who probably won't play for us. Actually, he might. He might actually play for us, so it could live on. But Jekko putting up those numbers is kind of insane. What kind of grade is he though? He's around a 3-star, and he wasn't good enough to play for us. So kind of crazy how he can have such a great season like that by going to the right team. But if you look at his stats, is nowhere better than anyone else that we end up having. And then no one really coming up in 2024, 2025. So now it's when we first took over, where we end up getting Martoni, who's around 190 and 305. That's not great, but that's not terrible either. But for 5th overall, I do expect him to be a little bit better than that. We'll have to take a closer look at kind of how everyone else did in that draft as well. So we'll look at draft log. I think is 2025. Yeah, 2025. And yeah, we'll look a little bit closer. Michael Misa in there as well. So in terms of points, though, Martoni's at least second. He's with 190, and the best pick was 9th overall. Malcolm Spence pretty close in terms of points, and even Hoggins took a little bit to kind of develop. So I guess it's not really that bad of a decision. Huang was who we actually wanted, and is a 5-star player as well. I think we tried to make some trades before. He went 14th. So if we end up kind of sticking with him, that'd been crazy though. And Ribkin looking like he's starting to develop as well. But we'll take a little bit closer of a look afterwards anyways. But that kind of blew up in our face. Sugar, we ended up getting rid of, I think last season, we got rid of him for a 2nd round pick. So he did do kind of okay in the AHL, but he only played around 12 games and he only played 18 with 9 points and a 55 grade. So maybe that was a good decision to kind of just trade him away. He was a 3rd round pick. We got a 2nd round pick. All in all, not bad. That's from the Buchnevich trade as well. Christopher O still on our team, and Koch, who we ended up letting go as well. I think this is the one that we didn't have any 1st round picks. So the fact that we managed to at least have a couple players still playing the NHL is pretty decent. Carbonneau didn't play for us, and then even Kersey, who we got in the 5th round, kind of bobbles from NHL to AHL as well, but he's around 2.5 star. So far, I don't think we did that bad considering how well everyone did throughout their career. The next one, we ended up having 2 1st round picks, and then Vernhoff and Olsen we got with those. Olsen with only around 49 points in 101 games, but Vernhoff with 52 for defenseman in 150 games. So he's played a decent amount. Singh also part of that as well. And then Ricard, one of the guys that I wasn't necessarily high on, we might end up having to give him a chance. Malik, we just end up signing now. I mean, he doesn't look that great. 2nd round pick, we got him for the D-Chow trade, 2.5 stars. And he doesn't look like he's going to be good enough to play for us. He's only a 1 star at the moment. We also got Fyodorov, who hasn't played for us yet. Plamondon, Rene hasn't really played for us either. I thought he has. And then Prue was with the 5th round pick, so none of these really amounting to anything. So kind of a little bit of a dud, I guess, after our first full season in charge in terms of picks and stuff like that. But we do have Singh, who's kind of bumping between AHL and NHL. And then Ricard, who I feel as though we should give a better chance. The fact that he got 4 points in 9 games is pretty decent. And then Malik seemed like a dud. That was a bad waste of a 2nd round pick for sure. And now looking at 2027, 2028, we did have 2 1st rounders again. Dupont with around 130 points in 235 games, so he's obviously a superstar, and he will be a superstar for us. We will probably have to pay him whatever money. He is only 21 as well, which is kind of insane when you think of it. But he's played pretty well. I'd be shocked to see where he did, like how well he did in terms of the draft. 2027, 28. I'll take a closer look at that. 2027, 28. And yeah, he was the 1st round pick. We got lucky with that draft. I remember that. And he is a top points getter. That's pretty decent. And then Joseph, who's 15th, and then Bouchard, who we could have gotten instead. So I remember his left or right D, and we end up deciding on the other one. But I mean, Bouchard looks pretty good too. Aiden Bouchard looks insane. Dupont also pretty good. So it's going to be a fight between who's better, the left or right defense. And so far, it looks like right defense is winning for sure. I don't think there's been too many other players that have really kind of shown off yet, but we're definitely interested in the development for that. But it's still crazy though with Bouchard. And then yeah, Jonah, we definitely want to see him develop. He's only played a handful of games. And then Kazda hasn't come up through it yet, but he definitely could next season. He just looks average. Like 2 star, he does look average. He can probably play anything. I think once we sign him is when we really see his full potential. Maybe our scouts aren't as great in terms of that, but decent nonetheless. Yeah, I don't think Aaron's played for us. So then Kazda, Penkin also with the 2nd round pick. He's probably going to play a lot more. 13 points in 28 games is pretty decent. And then even Meyer and Aspie also going to probably come up this season more so. Aspie didn't really play that much, but he does look like he could be decent. So like I said, one of the reasons why we traded a lot of these players was because we wanted to see other players get more opportunities. Even Cool with the 4th round pick. I mean, he could play this season if we really needed him to. His offensive is pretty decent. Even his physicals are all right, but he is only 21, so obviously he's not going to be playing for us as of yet. Forsman, I think, was the other one that we kind of took a shot at. His offensive looked pretty good He is 21. Like I said, only 1.5 star rating. And the fact that it only says 3 stars, he should definitely improve a lot more than that. His mentals are a bit low, but offensive is pretty decent. But it does look like it does translate a decent amount. I mean, 2 seasons ago he was getting 83 points, which is pretty, or sorry, 83 grade, which is pretty wild. But so far, everyone looking like they could be decent. It's not going to really show us any of the other stats. It's unfortunately you can't kind of do a tab to kind of see what their star ratings are, and it doesn't highlight it once you go over it. But yeah, Meyer played for us, 37 points. He looks really good. So 61 grade. I think when we move him up to play more of the top 6 minutes intermittently is going to be pretty good. 2028 to 2029 draft, we do have Aaron, who hasn't played for us, or Chevsky, got with the second round. So we only had one first rounder. Spanberg's the one that we kind of took a flyer on, and even Ryabov, who we weren't going to grab, but until we ended up seeing him, we got him so late. We felt the need that we had to, who looks pretty good, 40 points in 46 games. Only a 69 grade though, but he looks like he could be someone that's pretty decent for sure. Could be a different Ryabov than what we had before, but Spanberg I think looks insane. 21 points in 32 games in the SHL. I think him playing in the NHL is going to definitely be a better decision than him going to the SHL. I mean, we can't really send him back anyways, so we're going to have to kind of live with this decision, but I think getting him top ice minutes for sure is going to be huge. But he's not with the team, and Ryabov isn't currently with the team either. And then Plaxton was the top pick, who we then who's going to get his first opportunity this season with us. He did grade around a 68, which is kind of low. 17 points in 47 games. I think we just ended up signing him this year just because of his initial attributes. He's already good enough to play for us for sure, but we got him with the Holloway trade and then the Hodas trade, so we ended up getting him from the Leafs technically, but not bad at all. He was projected to go first overall. We got him in 21st, which is absolutely wild. I don't even know how that's possible. But he comes from Moscow, and he looks like he's going to be great. So I think he can play lefty for us. He shoots left. He can play a little bit of right D as well, but I probably prefer him on top line minutes. His defensive rating looks pretty good, but him and Landon are going to be insane. Vic Osgood looks pretty decent, and then we took a chance with 2 goalies right after each other. Another meager though, and then Oscar Johansson. I mean, grade was 53, so that's not good at all. He doesn't look like he's that great at the moment, but obviously that can improve as well. And then Meager, I think, was the one that was supposed to be picked higher. Yeah, he was supposed to be a first-round pick. We gave up the 2 Sachins for him, and then Babcock as well. So third-round pick, he does look like he could be a decent player for us, for sure. I'm not sure what his grade was, though. His grade's around 71, 910 save percentage in the NCAA for Minnesota. I think he could be a decent backup for us. So I think some of those decisions are pretty good so far. Obviously, it's not going to show your free agency acquisitions and stuff like that. But Brad Babcock, I feel as though we won just off the first one, anyways. But if he even ends up being a 3-star player, we can flip him at some point. But not bad at all. I think we're going to have a decent crop for this. I think a couple players might end up playing for us. I like Max Osgood. He looked like he's pretty good. 99 points in 51 games with a 79 grade. Pretty good. Potentially 4-star as well. 3.5 to 4-star. Good enough. We got him at 54. He was projected to go 82. So yeah, second-round pick. I definitely feel as though it's undervalued. I think second and third rounders are definitely something to keep. I think anything after that, you kind of take a risk at it. We get Stepanov, we got Meager, we got Henry as well in the first round. I think Henry was probably our pick, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, he was our pick. We ended up grabbing him at 39. I don't know how that's our pick, though. That's kind of weird since we went to the finals, but sure, we'll take it anyways. So we got him at 19, which seems odd, but he plays NCAA. Kind of took a chance at him. I think he was projected to go, yeah, 39, and we kind of took him a little bit earlier. I didn't think he was going to be available as well. I think Henry was the one that we just picked. And then even Polyakov, we kind of just went moneyballing on this one, 86 in 65 games with a 79 grade. He is Polish and he is Ukrainian. He's 6'5" and 18. So I kind of just took a chance. I did see some of his stats here. I mean, we kind of just took a chance a later on pick. Obviously, we don't anticipate any of the players past this point to do anything. So anything third and later, I don't necessarily see as playing for us, but there's definitely a chance that they could impress over the next little while. We did get Teed only for the reason because he was projected to go 53rd, and we got him really late. So the fact that that was the case, Oshawa Generals, he doesn't look like he's that good, but obviously I kind of still value the rankings just a little bit. But we did grab another goalie. I don't think he ends up playing for us anyways, but goalies are definitely something that you kind of want in abundance. I did allow the AI to kind of just pick and choose what they wanted afterwards. I think after Teed, I allowed the AI to kind of take control of that. Rasmussen was the last pick. He was apparently supposed to be probably a third-round pick. So the fact that they got him at 7 is kind of insane. I know at this point it does start to kind of screw around in terms of the positions and everything, but you never know. But Stepanov was our top pick. He was supposed to go 4th. We got him for the Oscar back trade, so obviously we won that regardless. Because Oscar back we ended up signing. We didn't even have him our team. In real life, he's actually pretty good. He just got extended as well in real life with Dallas Stars. He's having quite a career, but he does seem like only a 30 points player for that. So for a first round pick that ended up being a top 4, I guess, still pretty decent. 5 million extension. That is insane. But Stepanov, we'll look at him a little bit closer. I mean, he didn't really stand out, but I think it was more so the fact that he could have gone one of the top players. I definitely had to take a chance at that. So, but acceleration, all his physicals look pretty decent. Even his offensive rating looks decent. He's not going to be probably a defensive player unless this improves. But we could always use right wingers for sure. So he's around 18, 6'5" though. And I definitely like this pick. We got him at 10. He was projected to go 4, so always like those ones. And then yeah, Meager, Henry, and we ended up getting Waldman. So Waldman was, I feel as though that was ours. It had to have been ours. I don't know how we acquired the other one. So Henry was, I think, had to have been from Boston or something. So it's not really showing that. So I don't really understand why it's not showing that how we got the pick. I think it's the one that wasn't showing the transactions. Yeah, transactions. And I think it was this one. Yeah, I think it was the one that we ended up trading with Boston, and we ended up getting him. So it's the Janicic trade. For whatever reason, it's not really showing him at that point. So I feel as though so far we've done pretty good. Obviously, jury's still out on that. Getting players like Misa for free, who end up doing very well in the playoffs. So we know we have to probably play him a little bit more. He was actually a 5th round pick. Insane though. So shows that 5th round picks can be a thing. And then someone like Ryabov Spanberg is going to end up getting a chance this season. So we'll end up jumping now to the start of the season and kind of see where these players end up kind of fitting in. But as it looks like, someone like Plaxton is probably going to get top line minutes because I think I'm going to prioritize him a little bit more over Villeneuve if I can help it. Just based on the fact that he has a decent potential at 18, he's probably good enough to play close to top line minutes. I think this is going to be a season where we kind of discover where we actually are on this, but so far, I mean, it's looking pretty good this season, and it could look good next season just with those 2 picks. Could be insane, but I think, like I said this every year. I think we're a little bit further away from a rebuild, but obviously you have to kind of take value when you can, and I think just building on next season, giving opportunities to someone like Meyer. Meyer we might prioritize over Forster, but even Forster is a little bit young, so we got 2 years younger for a player who's pretty on par with Thomas at the moment, and then giving a Bolduc the opportunity at the top line, and same thing with Martoni. I feel as though we could have done Martoni a little bit dirty, just based on him not being able to achieve his potential, but he is only 23, so things can always change at that point, but he wasn't getting necessarily the top minutes that I would have hoped that he would have got early on. But we'll jump to the regular season for next episode. Hopefully you guys like this. If you guys do, I will continue to do this every so often, because obviously this is going to be a little bit of a longer save. We're kind of trying to build a dynasty with St. Louis, but hopefully you guys like this. Leave a like, subscribe if you want to see more, and thank you for watching. Until next time.